And first, I want to open up the Q&A to you guys. If anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and raise your hand. Yes. Okay, so the question was, what makes a sickness undiagnosed versus discovered? Undiscovered, sorry.
I love you for that question. So, there's no criteria for when a person becomes undiagnosed, so they don't know where they belong. So it's hard to go around saying, I have an undiscovered condition. It doesn't give you an identity or who you are. And the goal is to actually classify undiagnosed as a diagnosis. So while you are in the diagnostic odyssey, you actually can have a community, you can join other people, call yourself something that makes sense to people when you aren't diagnosed. And it's really an important part of this, because how do we count how many people? There are millions of people. Right? I can explain to you how we got to that number, but we can't count them because no one knows who they are. They are really an invisible group of people. But you think about it, you know someone knows someone. Even in this audience, there may be someone who's undiagnosed, someone who's struggling with small medical conditions or very serious medical conditions, but they don't know what it is, and they don't have a label for them. So the goal is really to give them an identity, a name. So our goal is to go through ICD-11, which is the new book that has all your diagnostic criteria, and we are hoping to add the word, a diagnostic criteria for undiagnosed. So because if you're only searching, you're not a group. You're not the group of the searchers. Does that make sense? So undiagnosed is the label. So the undiagnosed disease program at the NIH, there are small programs that are trying to identify those patients. And they are, like I said, very important to be identified. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so we don't know all the illnesses that are in the world. We don't know yet. There are many illnesses that are not discovered. So, for example, Alex was undiagnosed for 10 years, and when he got a diagnosis, was a newly discovered disease, and we actually made a movie about that, the way he got his diagnosis, and after he got a diagnosis, then there were 100 other children diagnosed with the same disease, and because his mom had documented his journey through her caring bridge, just talking about what was happening to him, all these other moms now use her caring bridge to be able to learn what to do next, because it's the only guide that they have about this condition right now. So the importance of finding a diagnosis allows you to communicate, build community, help each other. It allows you to push the future of medicine and get new medicines and new discoveries. So they are trying to find medicines for him and the other cohort of patients. We don't have yet something that helps them, but Alex turned 18, and for his condition, he is doing quite well. Actually, he's taking a college class where he moves his eyes to make his own music. So he is doing what his family wants him to do. He lives a normal kid's life. Mm-hmm.
That was a great question. Do we have any more questions for Dr. Moritz? Yes. Okay, so the question was, how often does Dr. Moritz see undiagnoses affect, like, court cases? That's the question? Okay.
Well, here's the thing. 20 years ago, there was no conversation about undiagnosed patients. So the undiagnosed, noticing that people are actually not having a diagnosis is something that is still not common to the language of medicine. So, if you go to a doctor and say, I'm undiagnosed, they're gonna say, what do you mean? Oh, did you not look enough? Did you not go here and there? And you're like, no, I gone everywhere. I done everything, right? So what happens with courts, the court system 20 years ago, they didn't even consider that those babies could die. One, they would say, it could be SIDS. Two, it could be maybe they both got SIDS. The third and the fourth, you're going to be committed. That's a crime. So what happens is it's so important to realize that, the idea to store the information in a crime scene, like in a crime case, like a cold case file is stored, even if they don't know what killed the person. And in the future, they can actually figure it out. But that doesn't happen for undiagnosed patients. So if someone dies at the hospital right now, many times nothing is collected, no DNA, no information, nothing that can help the parents continue, the family continue to find the answers, right? So I think that now more and more, I think families will, in her case, I read her case, I'm like obsessed with this case because it really was, I spent 10 years making this documentary, and this is a perfect example of why it's so important, right? So in her case, there was no proof that she did anything to the children. There was no showing, there was no proof of anything. There was her diaries that she said, it's really hard, my children cry a lot. Well, find out. Two had one genetic disorder, the other had another genetic disorder, and the four of them had a fatal disorder that would kill them before the age of 2. So that's what happened. Thank you.
That was a great question. Any more questions?
I think we have two, three.
We can start from you over there.
So I heard you say that when individuals find their common end, they find their hope. So what have you found to be the most successful strategy to get those individuals to find their common end? How do they get there?
That's a great question. So, the comma end is a great cognitive behavior strategy that we use, and it's really helped me hold on to this process, right? And so, everybody has a different comma end. So what it is that you can't control this, you can't control that. You don't know why this is happening. You may never know why. Some people, don't even get a diagnosis. For me, I got a partial diagnosis. I know that I don't have a terrible disease, which is amazing, and I'm so grateful for that. But I don't have a clear understanding of what happened to me and why it happened to me, right? So the comma end becomes, yes, this is happening to me. I'm going to take a pause, comma, and I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to make this movie. I'm going to tell their stories. Or, comma, and Alex is going to go travel, and it's the most beautiful thing. When you meet an undiagnosed family, you realize that those guys are doing everything to live their lives. They are managing uncertainty at the highest level, and they lean on this concept of like, okay, well, yeah, I don't know what it is, comma, and I'm going to go and do all these things that I can do. And sometimes the small thing, like Alex. Alex lays in his bed and composes music with his eyes. Great music, by the way, right? He does great things. But finding the comma and is not for the big things, the uncertainties. There's so many uncertainties. Can I give you guys an example, a good uncertainty? So yesterday, when I came and present here, I forgot half of my presentation, right? So I was like, oh, this is bad. I stopped and I couldn't remember. And I thought to myself, oh my God, why did that happen? Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this. And then I thought about the same skills that I was trying to teach everyone here. I said, yes, I don't know why it happened, comma, and I'm going to go there, and I'm going to talk. If it is good, it's good. If it's not good, it's not, right? And I'm going to lean on that uncertainty. I don't know if it's going to be good. I have to go through the battle. I'm going to try to stay strong and deal with that. I'm going to muscle through it. No matter what happens, I'm not walking off the stage. And that's how I found hope to come back. I actually talked myself step by step to be able to be back and say, okay, well, it happened. Go again. Struggle through the struggle. So I struggled through the struggle. And that's something that we could do with small things or with the biggest things in life. What we can't control, we can't stay with it. We have to move on. We have to try to focus on the things we can control.
That was a great answer. Do we have any more questions? Yes.
So, thank you so much for speaking. I really find it. So, how do you help your family or friends that are suffering from undiagnosed disease, and how is it different from someone that has a diagnosed disease, and how do you advocacy?
And then the question was, how do you help, or how do you differ in help for those who are undiagnosed versus those who are diagnosed?
Yeah. So first, patients who are undiagnosed are very often invalidated. People think that either it's in your head, which is a terrible thing, by the way. That's what I do, and being in your head is very tough. But it's a misdiagnosis. You don't have a whole numbness in your leg that you can't walk anymore because you have anxiety. That's not how it manifests itself. So they feel very invalidated. They feel like they don't have any direction, and doctors really struggle to support them. Medicine is made to give you answers, right? And when you don't have an answer, it's really difficult to manage your patient because you feel like, oh, I don't know this. And it's not a negative. It's true. There are some things we don't know. We should be curious about that. So managing undiagnosed patients is very different because they don't know if the medicine they're taking is hurting or helping. They don't know how to make any medical decisions. And often they feel very alone, very alone. And so the goal of having an undiagnosed community, right? Alex's mom started a support group for undiagnosed families. And even after Alex got a diagnosis, she continues to run this undiagnosed group in San Diego because she is helping other families. She understands what it is to be undiagnosed for so long. So the idea is it's very different to manage. You know, I give you an example. You know when you go get a test, like you have something, and you know something is wrong, you're very sick, you don't feel well, and then they do a bunch of tests, and then you're waiting for the results. It is a terrible time, right? When you're waiting and waiting and you're waiting to find out if there's a problem. Think about if that result never came. You wait and wait and wait. Everything comes back normal. You continue sick. Then you wait and wait and wait. You are stuck on that terrible moment, the moment where things are like not moving forward for you. It's just like a terrible time. And so we have to validate that to the families. The families struggle a lot.
Okay, that was a great answer, and that's going to wrap up our Q&A. Thank you so much
Sure.
for speaking with us. That was
All
great
right,
questions,
thank you,
too.
guys.
Good job.